Oh man. Mm, 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 mm. What is up? What is up? What is up? Yeah, man, just wanted to jump on, see what was going on. Steelers got to figure some stuff out. Need an identity. We need an identity. So, can't just be who do you think is better, Lamar or Joe Burrow? I mean, it depends on what you want. It really does. It depends on what you want. The Ravens are more of a running team, so obviously Lamar Jackson is going to be better for you. You got Jamar Chase and T. Higgins. I'm not saying Lamar can't excel at that, but it's two separate type of offenses. So it really just depends on what you want. I don't think you can go wrong with either one. I'm partial to Lamar because I'm a Louisville fan, but that don't mean I don't think Joe Burrow isn't crazy good. But what's going on, people? What's going on? I think the Steelers have a chance to land whoever the Steelers want to land. So, yes, to answer your question, they do have a chance to land Cooper Kupp. They absolutely do. They're going to have to pay him, maybe do some restructuring or whatever, but yeah, they do. So they absolutely have a chance to get him. Now, will they do it? That's a different conversation. But the Steelers got to get an identity. That, you know, the days of, well, we're just going to be a smash mouth football team and, you know, we're going to play this rugged defense. Are we? Like, is that our identity? Because I don't think it is. I don't think it is. First of all, teams that do that have a really good offensive line. The Steelers don't have a really good offensive line. Now, can it be better? Yeah. Should it be better next year? Okay. But we're just going to be a smash mouth football team. First of all, I don't think you can play that way in the National Football League anymore and win. I think the rules don't allow for you to do that. So I think they have to change a little bit as far as, you know, what their identity is going to be. And we don't stop the run well enough to be that smash mouth team either, because those are kind of go hand in hand. You stop the run, you run it well. Steelers got to figure out what they want to do and then go do it. You know what I'm saying? It's like, okay, let's figure out the identity that we want to have, and then let's go get the pieces and go do that. Like for years, you know, we had Big Ben and people were trying to say, well, the Steelers are a smash mouth. No, we weren't. We were not. We were not a smash mouth defensive-minded football team. Ben Roethlisberger was throwing that football around. Our defense for a lot of those years was not any good, you know. So, no, that's not what we were. And I'm not saying that we have to go back to that. I'm not convinced that the Steelers just got to be this team, this smash mouth team that, oh, we're going to play great defense. I'm not saying we have to do that. I'm saying we need to figure out what we want to do and then go do it. Go get the pieces and go do it. Stop with the dilly-dallying around and, well, maybe we want to do this and maybe we want to do that. No, enough is enough. Figure it out and then go do it. Don't just be, well, we might want to run it and we like Najee. We don't like Najee enough to pay him, so we're going to move on from him. But then we don't have the best offensive line, so we don't know if we want to smash. Hey, man, figure it out. Figure it out. And to be quite honest, the whole point of trying to be this smash mouth team. Now, you can say the Eagles are kind of a smash mouth type of football team, but here's the difference. The Eagles have options. If you load up to stop the run, the Eagles have two of the top 20 pass receivers in the National Football League, in A.J. Brown and Dante Smith. They've got that. So they can throw the football. They also got a top 10 tight end in Dallas Goedert. So if you want to load up to stop Saquon, they can throw the football. That's the difference with the Eagles. But their identity, if you want to say, is running the football, okay, I'll go with it. But look at their offensive line. You know, you've got to build your offensive line. What up, Be Easy? So that's the difference. The Steelers have to build from within. They got to build from within. Aaron Jade, you're right. Build the trenches, and then we get the skinny pieces later. You got to have linemen on both sides of the football. And I think, look, even the Chiefs, look at the Chiefs. The Chiefs on offense are a short passing game. You know, the days of just throwing it deep to Tyreek Hill, those days are over. The Chiefs are like, we're going to go to the quick game. And you know what you have to do with a quick game? Number one, you have to have the quarterback, which they do. Number two, you have to have receivers that can get open quickly in short areas, get off the line of scrimmage. They have those. And they continuously bring in guys that fit that mold. And then three, and I don't know that this is in that order. It might be the absolute outside of quarterback. The next up might be you have to have three interior guys up front that can keep pressure out of the quarterback's face immediately. Well, they have that. Trey Smith is going to be one of the, if the Chiefs don't sign him back, one of the most coveted free agents out there at right guard. Best center in football, Creed Humphrey. Best left guard in Joe Tooney, who just happens to be playing left tackle now because their left tackle was a disaster this year. So you look at that and you're like, that's their identity. They've gone to the quick game. They've changed and said, we're not throwing the ball 100 yards down the field. We're just going to the quick game and methodically beat you up. They did it to the Steelers, for crying out loud. They do it to everybody. But they figured that out. That's their identity. And it works. You're 100%, it's the Murph. The Steelers absolutely changed. Once they came up with the Mel Blount rule that you just basically couldn't murder a guy running wide receiver routes. Once they made that change, the Steelers start throwing the ball deep to Stallworth and Swan. Would I sign James Daniels back if we could? I'd sign him back on a make sense deal, a prove it deal that he's healthy. James Daniels is only 27 years old. So, yeah, I like James Daniels. Let make there be some competition. Look, Mason McCormick, I thought played as well as he could as a rookie 4th round pick, but he wasn't ready to play. He wasn't even supposed to play last year. But I think the experience that he got is invaluable. Now, if he can work on technique and get that better, then we got something. But James Daniels is better than him. So, yeah, I'd sign him back if we could. Absolutely. But we'll see. We'll see. But, yeah, that's where I think the Steelers got to start. Start with an identity. What do you want to be? And I know Art Rooney wants to say, well, you know, with the weather and we got to be a running team. That's an old way of thinking, man. That is 1970s, you know, way of thinking that because the weather's bad, you can't throw the football. That's not true. Do you have to have a strong armed quarterback? Yeah, but you have to have a strong armed quarterback no matter what you do. You know, but that well, we got to be a running team because of the weather. That is so old school way of thinking. When he said that, I heard that in the interview. That just made me sick. That just made me absolutely sick, man. I don't know about you guys. Let's say We should develop an RPO game like other NFL teams have. It'll be just like we're back playing football in high school. I mean, possibly. Possibly. So, could be that. Could very well be that. Yeah, I didn't like that Mr. Rooney said that, man. I didn't like that at all. I'm like, hold on a second, man. There is no need. There is no reason that we have to be that way. There's no reason that we have to have that old way of thinking. I didn't like that at all, to be honest with you. And maybe I'm wrong. Like I said, maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. But yeah, that was ugly for me. That was ugly for me. Ugh. He must have a DeLorean from Back to the Future. Maybe. If they were smart, they would use Justin Fields' strength. Here's the thing. You're right about the Justin Fields thing. The Steelers got to do that. But here's the thing. They also have to have the schematic chops, should I say, to be able to do that. Like, they got to have Arthur Smith has to get outside of himself and start having some schematic chops about it, if that makes sense. No more of the old, well, we're just going to run my system no matter what. I'm like, hold on a second, bro. No, we don't need to just run your system no matter what. That's not how this works. We need to run our system or run a system that fits what we have. So, yeah, you got to be crafty and witty and set up play calls. Look, I'm not an offensive play caller. I don't claim to be one. But I know that you have to set up plays. I know that you can't just, okay, it's 1st and 10, I'm going to call this play. Okay, it's 2nd and 4, I'm going to call this play. Oh, it's 3rd and 3, I'm going to call this play. That's not how this thing works. You got to call things. Number one, you got to anticipate what you're going to do, what formations. I mean, that's why they pay you. It's not, okay, it's, what do we do? What do we do on 1st down? We got 6 yards. Okay, so I'm going to call this play with these group of plays. No, you got to set things up. You can't be reacting as an offensive coordinator. You have to have them react to you. Now, when you get behind the sticks and stuff like that, do things change? Sure. But it can't just be, well, it's 1st and 10, we're running a toss play. Well, it's 2nd and 9, we're going to run a draw. No. That can't be the way that it is. So, Mr. Malone says we need a quarterback that can throw it from the pocket. I mean, we do, but I wouldn't mind play action stuff. I wouldn't mind bootleg stuff. Here's the thing. I don't want to pigeonhole the Steelers into we just need this, we just need that. I want to be able to compete in the playoffs, whatever that is, whether it's a running quarterback, whether it's a quarterback that is stationary, whether it's a combination of both, which is what I think you need. Whatever it is, I just want to have an opportunity when the playoffs get here that say, you know what, the Steelers got a chance to win. And you get into the game and the Steelers can win. Not we're down 21-0 because we can't do anything on offense and we have no chance to win the football game. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I want on offense. On defense, look, it starts with the D-line, obviously, but the Steelers need cornerbacks. I know that we don't want to go out and spend a ton of money on defense because we spent $160 million and it didn't get us anything. But think about this. Where did we spend that money? like TJ Watt, Alex Highsmith, Cam Hayward, and they were all pretty good. We spent money on Patrick Queen and Mika Fitzpatrick, but in the position that you really need in the National Football League, cornerback, Steelers didn't spend any money there. And I'm not saying that, you don't need a Highsmith or a Hayward or a Watt, or I'm not saying you don't need any of those, but what I am saying is teams that spend a ton of money on defense, cornerback is one of the positions that they spend the money on. Steelers didn't do that. So that's my only thing is like, yeah, I don't want to spend $160 million on defense again. Absolutely not. But if we are going to do that, then you got to spend it in the right places. It's like, look, I love Patrick Queen, but I think he's a $17 million cap hit next year. Huh? Well, I mean, okay. Whatever. That's my thing. Joey Porter holds receivers like he's in a relationship. Yeah. So we didn't give up 300 yards to everybody, but I get your point. The run defense at the end of the year was terrible. Mika Fitzpatrick is making too much money. Everybody wants to be mad at Patrick Queen, and trust me, I'm mad at him too. I'm not mad at him. Hell, who the hell am I? But making more money than what he should for the production that we got, okay. But if you're going down that rabbit hole, which I don't disagree, then the rabbit hole quickly needs to shift to Mika Fitzpatrick, who's making too much money for what he gives the Steelers. $18 million for that? I'm sorry. No. And that's what I'm talking about when I say the Steelers need an identity. It's like, what is your identity? The identity of spending all this money on defense, then your defense is top 5, and it doesn't come out of the top 5. But you can't be a top 5 or a champion. You remember all year when you used to hear on TV people talking about this is a championship defense? And there was a lot of us in here, myself included, that kept saying, how are you a championship defense when you have average to mediocre corners? Like, what championship defense do you know that has average cornerbacks? I've never heard that, never seen that. Nobody's ever suggested that. It's like, hold on a second. We're not a championship defense when you have average corners. You've never heard that. And the Steelers have that. So no, they're not a championship defense. And I'm not saying that Joey Porter Jr. can't be good. I think he can. I think he absolutely can. People calling me. Don't you know I'm doing a live here? But yeah, I think the Steelers can have, or Joey Porter Jr. can be better. I thought he was good at times this year. Handsy in some games. I mean, 6 penalties in the game is, Lord have mercy. I mean, and you can say, well, they were watching him. They were headed out for him. No, you were holding. And they just kept calling it. I mean, it's just as simple as that. Pass interference. They said they're going to go one-on-one and we're just going to throw the ball and he's going to hold. He's going to panic. He's not going to be in position. And this is what it is. What's up, brother, man? Hey, from Japan. What's going on? So we'll see. They're a championship defense, just used all the wrong schemes. West Coast Berg, West Coast Berg, I apologize. I don't agree with that one, my man. I don't agree with that at all. You can't name one championship defense that had average cornerback play. You just can't name it. Scheme is a big part of it. Don't get me wrong. I'm not doubting as far as the scheme that the Steelers use was totally wrong. You're right there. But I'm just not going to go and say the Steelers had a championship defense when you have average corner. Like Dante Jackson. Come on, man. Dante Jackson was average to below average all year. He just was. So We need to score more points, score some points. Yeah, we do. Are the Steelers doing anything about the schemes or another game plan or what? I don't know, man. It doesn't appear so. Here, follow me on this, people, and just hear me out. And I'm going to ask you guys, do you agree? Arthur Smith, offensive coordinator. Please don't piss me off by saying Mika making splash plays in the Pro Bowl. Don't do it to me, man. I apologize. Let me get back on the train of thought. Arthur Smith, offensive coordinator. Do you think that he wanted Justin Fields to be his quarterback and that he had a lot more in his offensive repertoire if Fields was actually the quarterback? And that early in the season, Tomlin put his thumb on him and said, hey, I don't want him taking any risk or gambles. Let's try to see if our defense can win any games. And they just never unleashed Fields to do the stuff he needed to do. And that Arthur Smith actually is better than what he showed because he had limitations because Russ couldn't run the type of offense that he wanted to run. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not blaming Russ. All I'm saying is Arthur Smith's offense requires somebody more mobile, and Russ isn't capable of doing those things anymore. So, and that's the thing is, I mean, you basically heard Arthur Smith come out this year and say that. So, I don't know. And you heard Mike Tomlin say he was the only one in the building that wanted to make the switch to Russell Wilson. So, didn't we know TJ Watt was going to an injury liability for his career when we signed him? Dwayne, what are you talking about? Come on, man. Let's stay. Don't go over the deep edge. Don't go over the deep edge, man. So, unleashing Fields would probably lead to mega INTs and fumbles. Well, first of all, he fumbled a lot, anyway. But do we know that? I don't know. Yeah, Tomlin doesn't want to take any risk. I mean, and Tomlin basically came out and said, throwing the ball is more risky than running the ball. So, since throwing the ball is more risky than running the ball, I don't want to throw it. I mean, he came out and said that. First of all, I couldn't believe that he did. For a head coach to literally come out and say, a component of us possessing the ball, and, all the Tomlinisms that I get tired of. And I'm like, you really said that you don't want to throw it because it's more risky? So you'd rather just run it and punt? Oh, Lord. It's crazy. It's crazy. Brother man, not guaranteed or for sure, Mark Malone. In fact, Justin Fields might do better than you think, but he needs a chance. That's the whole thing. The Steelers never gave him a real chance. So, Lamont, what's going on, man? So we need to come into the new tech age and get Fields the VR training system if you want him to read the field better or faster. I don't disagree with you there, Lamont. I don't disagree. S. Palmer, I'm tired of the Tomlinisms too. Yeah. The thing about Tomlin is he talks to us like we're stupid. He talks to the press like we're stupid. And I'm not the press, so I don't mean me as the press. He just talks to us like we're dumb. With the component of the ball and the labor that's being divided up and, stuff like that. I'm like, come on, man. You just talk to us. Okay. It's just football. You don't have to talk about dividing up the labor and, what is another one other than the component of the football? In stadium, when he talks about that, when we're in stadium, I'm like, man, just call it the game. It's okay. So, The standard is the substandard. Yeah, I'm with you there. Minka, yeah, said he preferred to keep it in-house. Hey, he's right. Minka's right. He doesn't need all Minka needs to say is we didn't play well. We need to play better, but what we need to change, I'd prefer to keep that in-house. He's right. He doesn't need to air dirty laundry. That, first of all, how does that do any good? It doesn't do anything. We'll let participation be our guide. Chris, don't get me started with the Tomlinisms. Oh, that is his claim to fame as far as guys being hurt and practice. We'll let participation be our guide. Oh, my God. That's another. And the thing about it is, I don't hate the Tomlinisms. It's just sometimes it's too much. You know what I'm saying? It's like, I don't hate it. I'd be lying if I said I hate it. I know I said I don't like it. Let me backtrack. It's not that I don't like it. It's just sometimes they get old. So that's all. Why won't the Steelers sign Fields, or what is the holdup on, well, free agency hasn't started yet, so they can't sign Fields. The free agency hasn't started, so you can't sign him. So I would just hold off on that for a minute. We'll get there. I mean, what would y'all think if I put out a podcast and just started talking in Tomlinisms? Would y'all still follow me? Would y'all still subscribe? Or would y'all jump off the train? If I just had a whole podcast and all I was doing was giving you Tomlinisms, I feel like y'all would unsubscribe. Big B, I'm getting the hell out of here, man. I'm done with you. I feel like that's what y'all would do. I feel like that's what you guys would do. and to be honest with you, I'd probably, if it were me on the other end of that, I'd get out of there too. So, y'all want him to sound uneducated? Nobody said he had to sound uneducated. Stop it, self-made. Stop it. There's plenty of football coaches out there that don't sound uneducated and don't talk to us the way that he does. So stop with the nonsense. I already know where you're going with it. Just stop with the nonsense, brother. I can paint the barn red. Yeah. Brother Man says, I like Tomlin, but it's starting to fall on deaf ears because the mind frame is different now. Yeah, I get it. So I get it. You're right. Sometimes I really miss Bill Cowher. I don't know. I feel like people, when they talk about, I want Bill Cowher back, I feel like they act like everything Bill Cowher touched was gold. That the nostalgia for Bill Cowher is much more than what actual reality was with Bill Cowher. I'm not saying Bill Cowher wasn't a great coach. I'm not saying that at all. But I feel like when people talk about Bill Cowher, they act like everything that he did was absolute gold. And that was not the case. It just wasn't. It was not the case. Now, did he have to clean up for some nonsense that went on at the end of Chuck Noll? He did. But everything that he did wasn't spectacular. So, here we go. Yinger Joe. I can give you the ingredients to the hot dog, but you might not like it. Yeah, that's another one. My black card would be revoked if I were to say that in my Steelers chat room. Man, ain't nobody, say whatever you want to, S. Palmer. Nobody's trying to hear that. People kill me with that. They say that to me all the time. Oh, you don't sound black and you're trying to sound white. I'm like, all I'm doing is talking. What do you mean? I'm not trying to sound anything. I'm just talking. I mean, what do you want me to say? So I get what maybe self-made is trying. I don't want Mike Tomlin to sound uneducated. The Tomlinisms. That's all. And not only that, sometimes they're not needed. And that's why he talks down to us from sometimes. That's why I'm like, come on, Mike, what you doing, man? You ain't got to talk to us like we're a bunch of idiots. But that's part of being a football coach, though. You know, because here's the thing. Football coaches don't like the media. Like, they don't like the media. They don't like doing media. If they never had to do media, they would never do it. They would never do it. So I get it. And maybe this is Tomlin's way of, you know what? I hate this shit. And I'm just going to spice it up by talking crazy and coming up with all these analogies. Maybe that's his way of dealing with the media. You know, I never thought about that. That's a good point. That could be, maybe it is what it is. So you don't know. James, who do you think the Steelers will draft? Man, I think the Steelers in the first round, this is going to piss everybody off, but I've been saying, I think the Steelers are going to go with the defensive lineman in the first round. I do. I think they're going to say, we got to stop the run first. There's going to be a crazy D lineman available, probably Grant from Michigan, 6'3", 340, super athletic, can play the nose. I think that's the route that they're going to go. I know everybody says wide receiver, wide receiver. I think they can get that a little bit later, but who knows? I'm not going to be mad if they go wide receiver, though. If they went wide receiver first and D-line second round, I'm not going to be mad about that. I wouldn't be mad. Not at all. Not at all. Yeah, I wouldn't be mad at all. So, because I think they can address cornerback, because they got to address corner. I think they can do that in free agency. Too much. Part of the issue is too much media and fan interference. Nah. I mean, social media, players don't have to be a part of social media. They don't have to be a part of that. They choose to be a part of that. Like, if you didn't have social media and you didn't have your phone, like you didn't have that, like call it 15 years ago when social media wasn't a thing, you know, you didn't have to be a part of any of the stuff that goes on today. But players are, because number one, it's fun. Number two, they can make more money and do some things on social media. So I think you just got to let that part go. I get what you're saying, brother, man, but I think you got to let that part go because that's just the way of the world these days. You know what I'm saying? I'm with you. But it's social media is like breathing air these days. You know, it's just part of us. It's just part of us. So the distraction is there, but it's only a distraction if you let it be. You know what I'm saying? Like if you let it be a distraction, it will be. But I'm with you. Let's see. Best self-made says best available player at the position that's needed. Sometimes you get in trouble by doing that. But in the Steelers case, because the Steelers have so many holes, self-made, you're 100% right. You got to take the best play because the Steelers don't have, like, if they only had like one or two positions that they needed to upgrade, then it's like, no, we got to hone in on these two positions no matter what. But the Steelers need D-line, corner, wide receiver, offensive line depth, you know, probably another running back. Not probably, definitely another running back. You know, they got holes all over the place. So it's like, okay, who's the best player at any of those positions? That's who we need to take. That's where I would be with it. So we can't afford to take a running back this draft. What? Hold on, Big Pun, what are you talking about? First of all, the draft is so deep at running back, the Steelers could wait till the fourth round and get a good one. But they 100% have to take a running back. 100% have to take a running back. I'm not saying the Steelers defense is trash, but the Steelers, they have to have a corner. They have to have a corner. They can't keep, well, we're going to sign this this aging guy, the Patrick Petersons and Dante Jackson's the 1-year fix. No, at some point you have to address the need, and they haven't addressed the need. You got to address it. Go address it, and here's an opportunity for you to do that. So, and that's a good question that I'm going to scroll up. Yinzer Joe said, so if the best available is Jeanty, do you take him? Not in the first round. Now, granted, I said that they have so many holes that they have to address them, but the need at certain positions is higher based on the value, the value of the position. Like the Steelers got to have a running back. There's no question about it. They got to take one in this draft. So you have to have a running back. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. But there's a bunch of them in this draft that you can find. You don't have to take one in the first 2 or 3 rounds, or first 2 rounds, I should say. You can wait and address that need later because they're going to be available. Great. When it comes to defensive tackle, on the other hand, you can wait, but you're not going to get the same type of value later in the draft that you would early. So I'm not saying Jeanty wouldn't be good in Pittsburgh. I didn't say that, but at 21, he won't. At 21, we're giving up too much for a running back. I'm sorry. I'd rather have a defensive lineman or a wide receiver before I take a running back. And unless you're going to tell me that Ashton Jeanty is Walter Payton. If you're going to tell me that he's going to be Walter Payton, then okay, I'm with you. I will take him at 21. But if he ain't going to be Walter Payton, then I'm sorry, I'll wait. I'll wait and get a Le'Veon Bell in the 3rd round. And that's all I'm saying. And there you go. That's the difference, people. I will wait. Unless I get Walter Payton. Mel, he's not going to be Walter Payton. Stop with the nonsense. So, and yeah, no, Bell was in the 2nd round. Le'Veon Bell was not trash, Pat. Stop it. Stop it, stop it, stop it, stop it. Unless you started watching football the year he got to the Jets, then Le'Veon Bell was anything but trash. I don't even know how somebody could utter the words Le'Veon Bell is trash. I don't even see how you could come out and say something like that. I get it. He ruined his career. He did. He sat out, went to the Jets for less money than what the Steelers had actually offered him. I get it. But he wasn't trash in Pittsburgh. He was a top 3 guy in the league while he was in Pittsburgh. Like I said, I don't even know why somebody, I get it. They're probably bitter that he left. And I'm not mad at you for being bitter. I was bitter. Hell, I'm still bitter. I'm still bitter that he left. But you know what? He did it to himself. And the thing about it is, like I said, he went to the Jets. He took less money than what the Steelers had actually offered him, by like $2 or $3 million bucks. And he never made that $13 million back that he could have played on that franchise tag. He never made that money back. Like, you talk about somebody that just screwed, like, he had the worst agent in the world. You don't have to be a Bears fan, Pat, or a Steelers fan. You can be a Bears fan, but again, unless you started watching football when Le'Veon Bell went to the Jets, if you watched before that, there's no way in hell that you could say that Le'Veon Bell was trash. Unless you're just out here trolling and chapping, which that's cool too. We slept on Mason Rudolph. The problem with Mason Rudolph is he got drafted too early by us. Like, Ben wasn't ready to quit, and quite frankly, Ben was still playing. Ben was still fine. But if you remember, when Ben got hurt with the elbow, Mason Rudolph was there, and then Mason Rudolph got hurt. I don't think the Steelers trusted him. Remember when we had to play the duck at quarterback? Well, Mason Rudolph was there, but Mason Rudolph, number one, didn't play well, and he also got hurt. So I don't think they trusted him. Big pun, yeah, you're right. He has. But Le'Veon was a money thing. Like, Le'Veon Bell wanted the money, and the Steelers were willing to give him some money, and then he decided, nope, I don't want that. I want this. I'll sit out. And the Steelers said, fine. And then they got James Conner. And then James Conner did damn near exactly what Le'Veon did. But then they let James Conner go. And that was the thing that I didn't understand with Pittsburgh. I'm like, hold on a second, man. I'm like, you let Le'Veon go. James Conner is here, playing fine. Why? Just sign him. They didn't. And James Conner's been damn good with the Cardinals. It just didn't make sense to me. Yeah, Ben definitely stayed too long after. Once his elbow was done, Ben was done. He was done. I agree. He stayed 2 years too long. Yeah, you're right, Chris. James Conner is doing his thing in Arizona. That was the one I'm like, what are we doing? Like, you let Le'Veon go, but we have James Conner, and he's playing good. Why? Sign him. Didn't make sense. Oh, well. Yeah, you're right. Conner was hurt a lot. He was. Y'all are right. He got hurt a lot. So, he was hurt a lot. Yeah, well, the Steelers' problem is the Steeler way is that they don't get rid of aging veterans a year too early like other good franchises. Like, other good franchises say, you know what, we love you. You've done a ton for us, but it's time to move on. And they'll get rid of a guy a year early versus a year late. The Steelers will hold on to you. They held on to Ben. I mean, they've done it. They hold on to guys too long. And I'm like, man, look, here's the thing that I could say. They let Franco Harris go. I mean, Franco ended his career, in Seattle? Well, if you can let Franco Harris go, you can't let Ben Roethlisberger go? I mean, come on, man. What are we doing? What about TJ being hurt a lot? Okay. Would you take a Rashad Mendenhall type in the round 3? Yes, minus the fumbling. I absolutely would. Yeah, if you could tell me that there's a Rashard Mendenhall that's in the 3rd round that the Steelers could get that didn't fumble like he did, 100%. 100%. Because Mendenhall wasn't horrible, but he's a fumbler. So, and y'all know how I feel about fumbling. You can't be on my football team if you're going to fumble. It just, Can't do it. So. Ooh, now this is spicy. S. Palmer says Minkah, Watt, Highsmith should all be on the block. The problem with Highsmith is if you got to trade Highsmith after, I don't know, and maybe you all know better than I do, but I don't think you can designate a trade after June 1st. I think you can designate somebody that you're going to cut after June 1st, but when it comes to a trade, I don't think you can say, okay, we're going to designate this trade after June 1st. And what I mean by that is if the Steelers trade Highsmith before the draft, which is what you would want to do because you're wanting to get draft picks for him, the salary cap hit is $16.8 million in dead money that the Steelers would have to eat. But if you trade him after June 1st, it's only $3 million. You would save $13 million. So I don't think that you can designate a trade after June 1st. So if that's the case, then everything that you would be trading Highsmith for would be for the 2026 draft, which that doesn't help us this year. I don't think you need to do that. If you're going to do that, you might as well keep the player and trade him next year. Does that make sense? It's like, yeah, I get what you're saying. So, self-made, you're not taking the fumbling. Stop it. Stop it. You can't fumble. So, they're not trading Highsmith this year. You can't do it. It just, financially, it doesn't make sense. And if we know anything, the Steelers are pretty cheap, but they're not going to take a $16 million cap hit, $16.8 million cap hit on a guy that, number one, can help you, but doesn't bring you any draft capital until the following year. The Steelers aren't doing that. I mean, and it's not just the Steelers. I don't know anybody that would do that. So, no, I mean, Pickett, what do you mean Pickett has a chance to? Pickett is a backup quarterback. Like, I get it that Kenny Pickett is in the Super Bowl, but it has zero to do with him. Like, zero to do with him. Even when Jalen Hurts got hurt, what did Kenny Pickett run out there and do? Same thing he did with the Steelers. He got hurt. I mean, so, yeah, Pickett may win a Super Bowl, but he isn't doing better in Philadelphia other than, okay, yeah, he'll get a Super Bowl ring if they win it. Okay, but he isn't, like, his career isn't doing any better. He was the starting quarterback of the Steelers, for crying out loud. Now he's the backup. And again, the one time he got an opportunity to go play, he did the same thing that he was doing in Pittsburgh, getting hurt. So, attribute, this is a good question, Devin Moore. Attributes you want in a running back. First, I need some vision. I need some lateral movement. I want speed. I want you to be able to catch out of the backfield, and I want a little size to you. Now, you might think, well, damn, Big B, you want everything. Okay. There are plenty of guys in the National Football League that can do all of that. Now, I didn't say they have to be at the top of the line in all of that, like the fastest guy, the biggest guy. I didn't say that. They just need to be able to do all of that. That's all. And there's a lot of guys in this draft that can do that. And when I say a big guy, like we got a Jaylen Warren. What? Jaylen Warren's what? 5'8", 215? Okay. So let's get a bigger guy. 6 foot, 220 that can do those things, or 215, that can do a lot of those things. That's fast. Good vision. So there you go, brother, man. Jimmy G won a Super Bowl, played in a Super Bowl, but his career is in shambles. He made some good money, but career in shambles. Mel, stop it with Ashton Jeanty. Stop it with Ashton Jeanty. The Steelers are not taking him. The Steelers are not taking him. Now, here's the thing. At 20, because y'all know we're going to do a live. We're going to do a live party, a draft party. If the Steelers take Ashton Jeanty at 21, I'm cutting the live off immediately. I'm just telling you that right now. I'm telling you guys right now. At 21, if the Steelers take Ashton Jeanty, I may shut down Steelers Almighty. I might shut the whole channel down. I might do it. I can't. I feel the same way about drafting a running back in the first round as I feel about when the Steelers drafted Baby Hands Pickett in the first round. That's how strongly I feel about this. No. You do not in this draft. For instance, let's just say there was about 5 running backs that were available in this draft that could be drafted within the first 3 rounds. Like there were only 5 guys that had that kind of value. Then I would say, you know what? If the Steelers take a guy in the first round, I'm not going to be mad about that. Because you know what? The guys after the 3rd round, there's only 5 guys that are even available to take, and we need a running back. So yes, in the first round, I would say we got to do that. But in a draft like this, where running back is aplenty, no. And the holes are so great for the Steelers. You know, if the need wasn't so great, then I would say, okay. But the needs are so great that we can't reach. And we reach for baby hands, and I was disgusted. If we reach for Genty, I'm going to be disgusted. But I don't think Genty's even going to be there. I think a team's going to take him before that, like the Cowboys. I think somebody's going to take him before that. I do. Or it might be one of those where, you know what? The teams are like, we don't need to take a running back early. We'll wait. And maybe in the 2nd round, the Steelers get somebody, or the 3rd round that you thought was going to be taken earlier. I know it won't happen, but if Omarion Hampton fell to the 3rd round and the Steelers were up, we should jump all over him. We should absolutely jump all over him. Now, he won't be there. He's not going to be there in the 3rd round, but if he is, okay. Okay. So. No, there's not a lot. There's a lot more defensive guys, but there's not a lot more defensive tackles. The Steelers need defensive linemen. There's a lot more running backs that can produce for you than there are defensive tackles. Significant ones. So, but you're right, Yinzer Joe. The Steelers got to be able to score points. But here's the thing. We could have Jerry Rice, Joe Montana, Eric Dickerson, and Barry Sanders all in the backfield if the schematics don't change and Mike Tomlin doesn't let the offense loose. Doesn't matter. So, yeah, I know Hampton's barely there in the 2nd and 50. Yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. I'm like, if he fell to 52, or 52 is 2nd round. In the 3rd round, yeah, he's not going to be there. He's not. But a man can hope and dream, man. Don't take away my joy just yet. Don't take away my joy. Who do I like between the Eagles? Who do y'all like in the Super Bowl? I don't have, like, a lot of you guys have a hatred for the Eagles. I don't have that hatred for them. Look, if anything, I'm going to a Chiefs Super Bowl party in Kansas City because my wife is she's from Kansas City. She's a diehard Chiefs fan. I'm going there with the Red Steelers shirt on. I'm going to take a picture and show you guys that I got a red baseball Steelers jersey. I said, this is the only thing red I'm wearing. I go, I'm not wearing no Chiefs, nothing. So I got a Steelers jersey that I'm going to wear. But I'm going for the Eagles. I'm rooting for the Eagles. I'm taking the Eagles. Yeah, I'm taking the Eagles. And if for nothing else, the reason that I think that I'm rooting, because I really don't have a rooting interest, is I want Saquon Barkley to win a Super Bowl so that the New York Giants and their owner and their general manager and head coach can look like absolute idiots for the way that they treated that man. That's the only reason that I'm rooting for. Yes, 26 deserves a ring. There you go. That's the only reason I'm rooting for him, is because the way that they treat, well, we don't want to have a $40 million quarterback handed off to a $13 million running back. I'm sorry. If you're any good, you want to. If they're your best players, you should. Or maybe you shouldn't have given the $40 million to that bum quarterback of yours. Oh, yeah, maybe you shouldn't have done that. Maybe you should have paid some offensive linemen, but you didn't do that. So that's my thing. So, Oh. Let's see. The Tomlin doesn't want to show narrative is ridiculous. When he had dogs on offense, we lit teams up. Jimmy's and Joe's, not X's and O's. No, it's definitely X's and O's, bro. It's definitely X's and O's. But you're right. When they had offense, they threw the ball all around. But Todd Haley was the offensive coordinator at that time, wasn't it? And he threw the ball all over the place. So you're right. When they had him, they did. But Tomlin literally came out and said, I'd rather not throw the football because it's more risky to throw the ball than it is to run it. And since the component of us winning is keeping the football, I'd rather run it. Like, he literally said that this year. So, to say that Tomlin didn't say that he doesn't keep his thumb on the offense, that's not true. He told us that he was doing that. So it's not people making it up. Boom, boom, boom. Pun doesn't like Saquon. Okay. Why? Like, what did Saquon do to you, man? Just because they talk about how good he is? Come on, man. With no number one wide receiver, who's the number one wide receiver in Kansas City? Like, who's their number one? And I would tell you that George Pickens is better than all of them. So now, granted, they got Patrick Mahomes, but who's the number one receiver there? Kelsey, tight end, Hopkins, old. Pickens is more talented than all those guys, man. So, no, Xavier Worthy is not a number one, and Pickens is better than him. No, the wide receiver coach the Steeler has is actually really good. Brand new. I think his name is pronounced Izani or something, but I can't remember the way you pronounce it, but he's actually really good. He's not the problem. Yeah, he's not the problem. Saquon and Hurts should get more praise than Allen and Jackson. I don't see why. Like, how? I don't get how. I mean, people don't like Josh Allen. I mean, and you cannot like him. I'm not saying you have to like him, but you got to respect what Josh Allen does, man. Just like you got to respect what Lamar Jackson does. So, and what do you mean? They're doing more and have gone farther. Okay, they got a better team. I would say Philly's got a better team than the Ravens and the Bills. But okay. I mean, I don't know. And they're not doing more. I mean, Josh Allen did more. For instance, if you put Josh Allen on Philadelphia's team, are they better or worse? If you put Lamar Jackson on Philadelphia's team, are they better or worse than Hurts? I mean, come on now. I know that we want to say, now again, I don't like playing hypothetical football because that gets old and nobody really knows. But, and Judah Scott, you're lying. Stop it. But Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen are better football players than Jalen Hurts. Period. End of story. They're better than he is. That doesn't mean that Jalen Hurts is a bad player, because I know on the internet, if you say somebody else is better, that must mean that you think that somebody else is worse. That's not what that means. All I'm saying is is that Jalen Hurts isn't as good as Lamar Jackson and Josh Allen. He's just not. And it's okay. It's okay. So, but we'll see, man. We'll see. Hey, man, y'all come out. Make sure y'all show up tonight for the big show. Me and Big G will be live tonight. I'm going to run. I got some Big 12 Insiders news. If y'all like Big 12 football, man, make sure y'all go subscribe to Big 12 Insiders. I do that on a daily basis. So I got to go. They're revealing the schedule on ESPN2, on Max, the football schedule. So I'm running and going to do that. But other than that, man, I appreciate you guys. Thank you all. And make sure, like I said, you come out tonight, show up for the big show. We'll be live talking, doing our thing like we usually do, man. I'll holler at you guys.